Hello and welcome to this episode, I should say, of DJ Force X in Conversation. This is episode 95. Taking a few weeks because a lot of life stuff's going on, so I won't bore you with that, but thank you for listening again. I got Martin Turner this week. He is the frontman for Martin Turner's ex Wishbone Ash. He was formerly of the band Wishbone Ash back in the he was a founding member, and currently they are preparing for a tour to go out mid-September in the UK. It starts off a little bit earlier in Europe, but it does like a month-long tour over the UK where they're playing the debut album Wishbone Ash in its entirety, along with some of his new stuff and some other Wishbone Ash classics. So yeah, the interview was great because this was like one of the bands my dad used to listen to and stuff, and obviously I remember music in and around, and it was certainly just the opportunity to interview someone like this is always good, because, you know, being someone who's been in the industry for as long as they have, and, you know, and the music that actually I sort of went back and listened to that first album, and I remember a couple of those tracks when, like, just traveling in my dad's car, or, you know, just around, and it was really good. Apart from that, everything else is sort of swimmingly going. I'm going to be producing a new podcast for anyone into sort of tabletop gaming, specifically Necromunda, which is sort of it's a Warhammer franchise, and I'm going to be producing an audio, possible video as well. I'm sort of seeing what's going to happen with my living space and things like that to see if that's a possibility. I'm going to be doing that as well. So anyone who's interested in that, just keep your eye on my feeds. I'm kind of going to cross everything over rather than have multiple feeds for everything. It does have a separate Facebook group, but that's only just to sort of keep the music from it. But everything else that I use, Twitter and Instagram, is all going to cross over. Apart from that, my shows on Total Rock. I've got DJ Force X in Conversation, which is basically this show but with added music. That goes out every Sunday at 6 p.m. And I've got my Crossing the Stream show, which I'm going to get back into. I've kind of been neglecting it a little bit just because of everything that's going on. But, you know, no excuses. I should sort of keep on top of that. But yeah, that's every Tuesday at 11 p.m. and it kind of repeats throughout the week. And I think even a Saturday night slot is on there from like 9 or 10 o'clock, I think. But keep your ears out for that. If you're into kind of like an electro crossover punk metal sort of electronic dance music type thing, do listen to it. I mean, I've talked about it before. If you dig that kind of thing, it's also on Mixcloud. You go to my Mixcloud page, which is mixcloud.com/DJ Force X, and you'll see all the episodes I've done so far, which is, I think it's like 169 or something silly like that. But do check it out. But for now, I'm going to leave you with this interview. So yeah, this is Martin Turner of ex Wishbone Ash. Enjoy. It was funny. I once I organised this or got this confirmation through, I realised you were playing in my neck of the woods on Saturday. You played at Wayfest.
That's right.
Yeah, I live just down the road from there, and I didn't realise I was working. And
really?
I was like, we could have done this face to face.
Yeah. That's a really nice festival as well.
Yeah, no, I've been away from the area for a little bit, but it was nice to see that festival still going, because they were doing it back. But I left the country for a bit and came back, but it's a nice area. I go down to that Rural Life Centre with my kids and stuff, and we do there because they got like a working farm and everything, and a steam train and all that kind of stuff, and the kids love it. So
yes, they normally have that running actually, but they didn't the other day.
Oh, didn't they? Oh
no.
Okay.
Yeah, because they said, we can, you know, what the dressing room was like at the other end of the festival to where we were going to be playing.
Yeah. So, I mean, you're here today to chat about your forthcoming tour, which you've got coming up in, it's about 3 or 4 weeks, isn't it? I think it's the mid-September you start.
Well, we go off to Holland for a week at the beginning of September.
Okay.
And then we actually start in the UK. I'm just looking now, Chislehurst. That's the middle of September. Yeah,
Yeah.
Beaglewood Club, South East London, mate.
Lovely.
Yeah. And we're going to be performing the whole of the first Wishbone Ash album.
Yeah, I read that in the press release. That's really, really cool. I'm going to have to make one of these shows because there's a couple of tracks in that album. My dad used to listen to you guys a lot, along with a lot of other sort of like prog rock when I was younger. So I was very much like aware of your music when I got sort of like I approached this interview, and a couple of the tracks from that particular album I really love. I've got Errors of My Way and Queen of Torture. They're the two. They go back to back on the album, but
right. Yeah.
Those two songs, when I hear that, it just instantly takes me back to listening to music with my dad. You know, and it's sort of not that I'm that young, but I was born in like 1980, so obviously. I was very young when exposed to your music. My dad loved kind of prog rock. He loved the kind of folk side of things as well, and he was a guitarist, so. You know, he loved Clapton, he loved Vi, he loved, you know, all those sort of groups as well. But no, I remember this in particular, and when I saw you come through, and I was like, I hadn't listened to it for a few years, but I went back and I was like, oh yeah, no, that takes me right back. So,
well, me too, really. I mean, when you listen to that stuff now, I mean, we were young lads at the time. You know, we were very young and naive. Freshly scrubbed and newly arrived in London in late 69.
Yeah.
And that first album, I mean, I always joke about it that, you know, in terms of like, you know, clearly my testicles hadn't dropped completely because the signature keys of the songs are so high, you know, the vocals, which is a bit of a challenge, you know, nowadays to be able to sing up there. So, you know, there's usually a way of doing it. And in some cases, we need to drop the key.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's good music, very, very straightforward. And they're all interesting little stories about things that were happening at the time, you know.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, no, as I say, it's like it takes me right back, and like I said, I'm gonna have to come and watch one of these shows and listen to them live, because that's the one thing I've never seen you guys, or never seen you live, or any formation of what you've had before.
Right. No, really. I mean, if you were born in 1980,
yeah.
I mean, I think the original band did some shows between 87 and 91.
Yeah.
What would you would have been?
I'd have been about 11,
8 years old or something.
Yeah, no, I would have been too young for that. So,
really? Yeah.
But no, I was just it was very interesting listening back to that particular album as well, and I sort of did like I put a playlist together on my system and listened to some other tracks that kind of of yours that kind of went through. So when you're obviously playing this album in its entirety for this particular tour, are you including any other Wishbone songs with that, or are you playing some of your own compositions?
Yes. Yeah, well, what we'll do is we usually do 2 sets with a little break in the middle, half time as we call it. And one of those sets will be the first album, and the other one will be, you know, a collection of Wishbone tunes. There'll probably be an Argus song or 2 in there.
Yeah.
That being probably the most popular album. And that's what we do. We mix it up.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. So, with your current band that you have with you, what sort of background do they have? Are they formed from bands of your time, or are they sort of new musicians that you've kind of picked up on the way?
No, they're all based up around Leicester.
Okay.
Danny Wilson, one of the guitar players, has been with me for a long, long time. He's a Leicester lad. And of course, they were thrilled to bits when Leicester won the Premiership a few years back. And then he when our former drummer moved on, he recruited a chap called Tim Brown. Again, he's very close to Leicester, near Melton Mowbray, I think.
Yeah.
And then we needed another guitar player at one point who Tim had done sessions with this guy who had a studio, Misha.
Yeah.
He's from Serbia originally, but he lives up in Newark, which is a little bit further up.
Yeah.
So they're all based up north, and when we get together for rehearsals and stuff, I usually travel up to them, and we work up there basically because it's a lot easier for me to stay overnight than it is for all three of them to come down here.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it works a treat. They're all, great guys. We've got a good solid bass. There's a lot of. It's not just about being a musician. You've got to be able to cope with the rigors of being on the road. Locked in a tin box, schlepping around Europe and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
It's quite demanding, and one's personality is every bit as, and your attitude is every bit as important as your ability to play an instrument.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, you definitely you have to get on with the person. That's kind of first and foremost, because you've kind of got them playing an instrument already. They've obviously got to play it at some kind of level, but then it's that personality because, like you said, you're stuck in a tin box.
That's right.
for a lot of it, and
absolutely, it's really important. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm a former musician myself, kind of touring wise, and you really. Luckily, I've been with people that I could actually, get on with and understand, and sort of know when to leave it and know when to dig. So
and also the various families involved. You need a wife or a girlfriend who understands when you got to go away and all the rest of it. It's a tricky equation to make it work.
Yes.
But very important to get it right. Yeah.
No, definitely. So going back to the sort of music side of it, you released an album not long ago now, wasn't it? It was April. The Beauty of Chaos. Was it a live? It was a live album, wasn't it? Yes, it was live at the Citadel. How's that been for you? How's that been received?
Yeah, good. I mean, it's not like the 70s where we're with a massive worldwide record company selling hundreds of thousands of copies. It's on a smaller scale than that nowadays. But there is a hardcore following of people that support the band, and they buy the products that we put out, and the feedback tends to be good.
Cool.
I mean, that was recorded a while back and features quite a lot of the solo album that went out about 3 years ago called Written in the Stars.
Yeah.
There's a lot of the material from that being performed on that album. Yeah.
Okay. Excellent. So, with that, I was going back just a little bit to what you said there about obviously the changes in the music industry, because I'm always interested in this side of it. Like obviously you've been in the music industry for a good, say 30, 40 years now. And more. I was like, I can't remember what year it is at the moment. Anyway, but it's, how have you?
Well, to tell you, I started gigging when I was very young, about 15, and I started up in about 1963.
Okay.
Gently at first, just playing local youth clubs and stuff. We had a semi-professional band in the 60s called the Empty Vessels. This was down in the West Country.
Yeah.
That was myself, my little brother Glenn, who's a bit younger than me, and we eventually got Steve Upton, who became the Wishbone drummer later. He was with us as well from about 66 on, I think.
Cool.
So, I always think of it as doing our apprenticeship. During the 60s, we were playing popular songs of the day.
Yeah.
By the Kinks, the Who, etc. And then we all came up to London in '69 to give it a crack at becoming a professional setup.
Yeah.
And we met Miles Copeland, who was newly arrived in London, just like we were, who was looking to become a manager in the music business, and it was just a perfect fit, really. And that's how we got going.
Cool. And over those years of being in the music industry, obviously, like you say, the apprenticeship years, and then when you got signed to a label, how have you viewed the sort of changes in the music industry as you've been a part of it? Because it has evolved, it's kind of gone around on itself, and the old ways are not quite good enough anymore, or obviously, like you say, don't sell as many records, if you will. How has that sort of view been from your point of view, from having that era of sort of bigger, I guess, consumption? No, it's not really consumption. The purchasing of the actual physical product, I suppose, is probably the better way to look at it compared to now.
It changes all the time. I mean, it's very, what would you call it? Very mercurial, if you like.
Yeah.
But the overall view that I see is that people do love music. You know, there are probably as many, if not more, people listening to music as a whole now as there were, you know, back in the 60s and 70s. It's just more specialized and available in more different platforms, if you like. You know, whether it's internet based or Spotify or iTunes, or, you know, there are just so many different ways that it can be delivered nowadays. Whereas back in the 60s, you know, we were talking vinyl, that's your lot.
Yeah.
And now, you know, my kids, you know, when they were growing up, they're sort of coming to me saying, Daddy, how do you play these big black CDs? You know, because they knew it was a record, but they couldn't understand how you fitted it into a CD player, which was the only thing that they knew. So, you know, it changes all the time. I mean, the important thing is that, you know, music is important to people. It inspires them. They love it. It fits with things that are happening in their lives, etc., etc. So, you know, it hasn't changed in that respect.
Yeah.
Music is just as important. You know, the changes in the various different ways and the various different types of music. You know, people put labels on all these different genres now. You know, I've got a lad who's involved in drum and bass, and there are so many different aspects of that. Even, you know, so true. There's a lot of stuff out there for sure.
Yeah,
you know, which is amazing, really.
Okay, cool. No, that's cool. I mean, do you get involved much in the business side of it, or do you generally leave that to sort of other people when it comes to? Obviously, I am not a businessman. No. You know, I wouldn't say clueless, but, you know, my bias is very much on the creative side. Okay. You know, I am a writer of music. I love lyrics and words, which I also do, and especially, you know, both performing live and I'm a studio animal. I mean, I've had a recording studio since the early 70s, which has grown and grown, and as has my expertise. And yes, I'm a bit biased in the direction of the old analog type of recording. Yeah. Although I use modern digital techniques, I still at the same time use, you know, like old compressors and things with valves in from the 1950s and 60s, because to me that just sounds better. It's the sound that I know and love. Big, fat, warm, juicy sound, you know. Yes. So, yeah, it's, I mean, we have all these tools at our disposal, you know. Everything has become slicker and miniaturized and virtual and all the rest of it. Yeah. And it's just really adapting to that and how well you can learn to use it. Yeah. Which is the same as it ever was, really. Yeah, yeah. No, I was, when I was in college, I did sound recording and music technology. but the sound recording, it was done with analog setup. So we had the reel to reel. We had it was an 8-track Tascam thing, and also like the audio editing was all done on, again, a reel to reel with a razor blade and tape. So if you wanted to cut up like certain tracks, like one of the projects was to cut a 3-minute song into 30-second like advert, if you will. And I did it all myself. I had a Tascam 8-track. Learned the same way back in the day. And then, funnily enough, you mentioned editing with a razor blade. I did some edits on some recordings one day with the Flying Pickets. Oh, blimey!
Don't know if you remember that.
I do.
That a Christmas hit single, but because it was just voices, there's no music, just voices. You know, you could hear everything very clearly.
Yeah.
And the edit that I'd done, I was getting a little click as it went past the tape head. You know, so I rang up. I was really baffled. I mean, I tried to remake the edit a couple of times and it was clicking. And I rang up this engineer that I knew, a guy called Adam Foost, very experienced man who I'd recorded with before. And I said, Adam, I've done this edit and I've got a real problem. It keeps clicking every time it goes past the tape head. And I said, I don't know what to do. You know, he said, you've got a magnetized razor blade you're using. So when you cut the tape, you're actually putting a signal on there that if you've got a demagnetizer, you need to run it across the razor blade to demagnetize the razor blade and then do the edit.
Oh.
So I'm like, really? So I had to go back and do all this performance. And as he said, it was absolutely fine then. So yeah, there was a lot to learn in them days.
Yeah. That was I didn't fall into that. I didn't have that issue with what I was, obviously, because they may have just already had that sorted. But that's it's one of those things that I often like tell sort of some younger people, like when I'm in a studio or something like that, or because I have a digital setup as well now where it's kind of, you know, everything's kind of good, plug in and play, everything's on the system.
So much easier.
Well, it is, it's a lot more portable, I'll tell you that. But like, sure, just going through the actual WAV file now and just clicking away and editing, clipping it out, and you know, it's so much easier than going through having to sort of wind it slowly, getting to the point you want to edit, slice, bring it back round, the other part, slice, then bring it together, tape it down, and I often regale them with that. But that's a new one. I didn't know about that magnetized bit, but it does make sense because obviously it's a magnetic strip. So
we always refer to it nowadays as steam driven recording.
And the Flying Pickets as well. I've got that song in my head suddenly.
What was it called? And all I ever knew.
Only you. Yeah,
it's a pretty song actually.
It was another one that my dad listened to a lot and stuff, like in the car. So it's just like, it's one of those things. It's, and they were like an a cappella group, weren't they? So
that's right. Unusual.
Yeah, it was for the. I mean, for the time, it was. I mean, there's a few around now. I think Pentatonics are like one that are doing over in the States. They're quite a big sort of a cappella group. I think it's more of a tradition there, really going back to, you know, the 30s, the 40s and stuff in America. Yeah, with the old barbershop quartets and things. And
that's it.
Yeah, definitely. Cool. Well, we're going to wrap things up in a second. I've just got a couple of questions left for you, if that's all right. This one may be probably a little, I don't know if it's going to be tricky or not, but I'm just going to ask it anyway. Your 3 top albums that kind of have defined your career, ones that you've listened to, not ones you've made, but ones you've kind of heard and gone, that's something.
Okay, I loved the Beatles' White Album.
Cool.
It got some very bad press because of the Charlie Manson things, you know, the murders in Los Angeles in the 60s, and apparently they used to listen to it, Helter Skelter and all that lot.
Okay.
But, I mean, there are just some absolutely brilliant tracks on there. Ooh, tricky. Who's next? Is it the Who album with "Won't Get Fooled Again," Barbara O'Reilly, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And then, oh God, there are so many albums I could pick. There really are. Another one would probably be much more recent. That would be the Muse album.
Okay. Yep.
With Take a Bow, Black Holes and Revelations.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that
Cool.
album. That is a brilliant album, and you know, a really great band as well from the West Country,
They
where
are
I
indeed.
came from.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
I've seen them over the years. Playing.
I've never actually seen them perform. I'd love to see them on stage.
Yeah, no, they were. I mean, I saw them probably back in, I think it was 99, 2000 Reading Festival.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think was the first time I saw them, and yeah, fantastic live band, just huge for the sound.
Yeah.
I mean, there's three of them, but it's just like massive. Just sounds
It
big.
is, isn't it?
You know,
Yeah.
they make a huge kind of impact on you. But yeah, no, they're a fantastic band. And have done very well about themselves, you know.
Really?
Yeah. And another one, your hobbies away from music. So when you're not producing, when you're not writing music, do you do anything else? You got any other hobbies or anything?
Yeah. Stock car race.
Really? What, actually partaking or watching?
No, my brother did. My brother he had all the kit and had a car made. I mean, we call it stock car racing. I'm talking about bangers.
Yes.
You know, the modified street cars, you know, where you put the radiator inside the vehicle so that when you get hit, it's not all over.
Yes.
I mean, we used to have a racetrack at Plough Lane in Wimbledon that I used to go to. I think they've stopped racing there. I haven't been in years.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's one thing. I've always been very fond of British motorsport.
Okay.
I mean, I've watched it in America, and the rules and regulations there are crazy. You know, they stop the race the minute anyone makes contact with someone else. In Britain, it's a lot crazier, and they're more liberal.
Yes.
So it's consequently a lot more exciting.
Yes.
Although, having said that, American drag racing is pretty impressive.
Yes.
So, yeah, I mean, I don't get along as often as I should, but always been very, very fond of motorsport generally. I mean, you know, I used to go to Brands Hatch a lot as well. I even remember when we used to go down there and watch the British Grand Prix, you know, back to the days when James Hunt was racing.
Oh, yes.
You know, Clay Regazzoni from Italy and James Hunt and God knows who else, Jody Scheckter. But also, I have been a lifelong football fan.
Okay.
And, you know, I grew up in Torquay, in the West Country. So Torquay United was a bit of not really the best team ever. I sort of struggled to stay in the fourth division. But since I came to London in '69, I mean, the nearest team to where I've been living would be Chelsea, really.
Okay.
Or Chelseaers. Chelsea, as we call them nowadays, because they're owned by a Russian. But I mean, I love going to. I mean, I've been to West Ham. I've been to all the London grounds, the old Highbury, the old Arsenal ground.
Yeah.
Tottenham. But Crystal Palace, in particular, Selhurst Park. I love that ground because. And they've always been.
Well, thank you again, Martin. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Okay,
and
bye.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah. Sure, my pleasure.
Thanks
a lot.
Bye-bye.
Cheers now.